All right, good morning, everyone. Those of you that have been with us over the past week, first at the commercial vehicle event, last week in the Fusion preview, yesterday, you've been progressing my cold and throat with me for the past week or so. So today I'm going to actually have the water right with me. So I'd like to welcome all of you today, especially taking your time to get here on such an awful morning, but it could have been snow. I think it was snow last year, actually. And actually, there's no better place to talk about fuel efficiency and electrification than to do it here at our Michigan Assembly Plant, where it all comes together for our customer. As many of you know, we have a unique approach to fuel efficiency leadership, and it's based on a roadmap that we shared 4 years ago, our Blueprint for Sustainability. And rather than focusing on any one solution to greener driving, our aim is to make the biggest possible difference on emissions and fossil fuels over a 20-year period using a variety of technology solutions. The goal is to focus on affordable, sustainable technology solutions, not for hundreds or thousands of vehicles, but for millions of customers. Ultimately, this is what drives us to provide our customers what we call the power of choice, a wide variety of efficient vehicles to meet their different needs. Key to our plan is a full lineup of efficient gasoline engines and electrified powertrains, along with fuel-saving technologies such as electric power-assisted steering, dual clutch and 6-speed transmissions, flex fuel, battery management, and aero improvements. Customers are already enjoying the results of our efforts. In fact, customers rate 6 of our vehicles highest for fuel economy in the 11 segments in which we compete, according to the J.D. Power's 2011 Automotive Performance, Execution, and Layout, or their APEAL study. The next closest full-line competitor has only 2 segment winners. And I'm pleased to announce that by the end of 2012, nearly 1/3 of our vehicle lines will offer a model of 40 miles per gallon or more. This includes several vehicles that haven't been announced as yet. This impressive fuel-efficient fleet will be headlined by an unprecedented wave of electrified vehicles next year. And we're not stopping there. We will continue to expand the availability of our EcoBoost engines. Our global EcoBoost family ranges from the new 1-liter 3-cylinder EcoBoost we'll launch here in North America in the near future, to our 1.6-liter and 2-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder engines, to our popular 3.5-liter V6 EcoBoost. All of these engines provide a fuel economy improvement of up to 20% and a reduction in CO2 emissions of up to 15%. But that's not all they do. Our new Focus ST, with its 250 horsepower 2-liter EcoBoost, is here, right there to the right, as not so subtle reminder that EcoBoost is as much about performance as it is about fuel economy. Now, by 2013, we expect to offer EcoBoost in 90% of our vehicles in North America and 80% of our vehicles globally. Our electrification plans are also gaining momentum based on our commitment to an unprecedented wave of new electrified vehicles in North America by the end of 2012. And we will triple production capacity of electrified vehicles to 100,000 units by 2013. It all started with Ford Transit Connect Electric, which has been in customers' hands since last year. Plus, we are pleased to announce the Focus Electric has started production right here at MAP. And we're also pleased to announce today that we expect the Focus Electric will be the first all-electric vehicle to achieve a fuel economy equivalent of more than 100 miles per gallon equivalent, while still offering space for 5 passengers. Now, some of you may be wondering what mile per gallon equivalent means, or MPGE. This rating was developed by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to compare energy consumption of alternative fuel vehicles like Focus Electric. It is based on how much gasoline and how much electricity would be used to generate an equal amount of energy. The EPA considers 33 kilowatt hours to be equal to 1 gallon of gasoline. In addition to MPGE, electrified vehicle customers are also keenly interested in driving range. Take a look at the display next to the C-Max Energy. The monitor is tracking the charge levels over the typical course of a typical busy day, representing driving and recharging throughout the day. As you'll see, a Focus electric driver can more than double the driving range of today's electric vehicle ratings during a busy day of driving and also recharging. We'll update you at lunch how much this driver got done in the course of just one day. You'll also hear more today about our first compact multi-electric, multi-activity vehicles, or MAVs, here in North America, the C-Max Hybrid and the new C-Max Plug-in Hybrid. These vehicles will reach new levels of hybrid performance with next-generation lithium-ion batteries. As our first multi-activity vehicles and our first dedicated range of hybrids, some have said C-Max is the first true competitor for the Prius. Indeed, we expect the C-Max Hybrid to achieve better fuel economy than the Prius V. We're also pleased to introduce our first plug-in hybrid vehicle, the C-Max Energy, which we expect will have better fuel economy equivalents than the Prius plug-in while in electric mode. C-Max Energy will also achieve more than 500 miles of overall driving range, using the battery and engine more than the Chevy Volt. In fact, we expect to have about 500 patents for electrified vehicle technologies as we move into this unprecedented launch period. These vehicles headline what we believe will be a banner year for Ford as we expand our fuel economy leadership even further. We've said it before, fuel economy is the battleground for true automotive leadership this decade and probably beyond. The automaker with the best fuel efficiency will achieve better brand value and ultimately more value to customers who will invest in reducing their fuel consumption. We're also working to make the conversion to an electrified lifestyle easier and more affordable by forging relationships with high-tech partners such as Best Buy's Geek Squad and SunPower, and creating useful tools such as our My Ford mobile app. Plus, we're expanding the definition of a green vehicle beyond just fuel efficiency. Because as Americans are prioritizing fuel economy, they also are going green in large numbers by recycling. The Roper Consulting Group, which commissions the longest-running study on consumer green behaviors, says about 70% of Americans recycle, even though only about a quarter of them say they believe they can have a big impact on the environment. We think the Focus Electric will strike a particular chord with the public because it is the first car ever to offer interior materials that are 100% clean technology and recycled content. This includes our first application of plastic water bottles in the seat fabric. At a Ford event, we'll be collecting your used bottles, recycling them, and putting them into a future Focus Electric. Our partners from Unify are here to tell you about their innovative Reprieve technology that is going not only into our cars, but also in some of the jackets you're wearing today and a growing number of consumer products. More broadly, we are targeting all of our vehicles to achieve at least 25% use of clean technology and interior materials as we work to make our vehicles even greener from bumper to bumper. We know that electrified vehicle safety is on many people's minds at the moment, so I'd like to address it. First, it's important to say we still have little information about the cause of the issues Chevy has experienced with the Volt in government crash tests, so it's difficult to comment specifically on how they relate to Ford's electrification program. The Focus Electric is built from the solid foundation of the gas-powered model that has earned top safety ratings around the world, including a top safety pick rating from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. The car's solid structure includes advanced, high-strength steels in more than 50% of the safety cage. As for the battery, which is on display next to the Focus Electric, we in Ford engineered the battery pack and took many extra steps to ensure high levels of safety. We built on 2 decades of experience building safe and reliable battery electric technologies for our hybrids and other battery electric projects. The battery case itself is protected by a strong steel casing that helps provide additional protection beyond the car's overall safety structure. We achieved our goal of not experiencing damage to any battery cells in our stringent crash testing regimen. Our experts are here to tell you more about battery safety and all of our other efforts to make electrified vehicles safer and more user-friendly. So Ford continues to go green. More broadly, we are proud to be leading an industry that is enjoying an increasing reputation for green behavior. According to Roper, 50% of Americans in 2010 said they believe the auto industry is taking steps to protect the environment, compared to 31% in 2007. We believe this could be because Americans are seeing more green cars and green factories, such as this plant with its solar power energy, or the Dearborn truck plant with its first of its kind living roof. It's a start. And here to tell you more about how we're building the most efficient vehicles in an efficient and more sustainable way, please welcome my manufacturing partner, Executive Vice President, Global Manufacturing and Labor Affairs, John Fleming. John?
Thank you. Thanks, Derek. Thank you, Derek. Good morning to everybody. Welcome to our wonderful Michigan assembly plant. I got to tell you, we're really proud to showcase our Michigan assembly plant today, which is a model for flexible manufacturing. Thanks to our global product development and global manufacturing under One Ford, our positive UAW partnership, and flexible plants like this one, we can now make high-quality, small cars profitably. And, as I think you'll see today, our electrified vehicles also are benefiting from our global plan. Plants like the Michigan assembly plant help us to adjust rapidly to changing consumer demands and provide attainable, high-quality, real-world electrified vehicle choices for customers in the center of the market, which is where it counts most. There's no doubt that Michigan assembly plant has a strong future ahead of it. We've already begun building the Focus Electric, just the first of 3 electrified vehicles that we'll build here in this plant. What's more exciting is that when C-Max Hybrid and C-Max Energy go into production here in Michigan assembly plant, we'll be the first plant in the world to have an integrated build with 3 electrified production models assembled on the same line as the fuel-efficient gas-powered vehicles, in this case, the Ford Focus. Now, here's another significant number. Michigan assembly plant is the only plant that will be responsible for installing in vehicles 5 different powertrains, 2 gas engines, a hybrid motor, a plug-in hybrid motor, and a battery electric motor, all on the same line. And our Michigan assembly plant team can do all this while also readily adjusting production and production mix based on the market demand. We've also reduced complexity, helping drive high-quality products which will be built together on the same line by the same teams using similar tools and the same quality checks. Plus, each station is ready to assemble any type of vehicle that comes their way. And because we're electrifying platforms and not building one-off specialty vehicles, we can manage to assemble cars affordably and with the same exacting quality measures as the traditional gasoline-powered models rolling down the same line. Now, the Ford Focus launch, more than any other so far, has been a shining example of our One Ford in action, of leveraging our global assets and becoming one team with one plan and one goal. Focus was the first product under One Ford to be fully engineered, designed and sourced and manufactured globally. Within manufacturing, this meant coming together with all of our global partners and doing things differently by use of collaborative methods, such as virtual tools. It required a different approach to the implementation of new processes. It required increased communication amongst teams, and it required a different approach to problem solving. Now, this is a whole new view of manufacturing before this plant had even installed its first piece of new equipment. 2 years ago, product development and manufacturing teams in North America, in Europe, and in Asia came together using this virtual technology to build this car piece by piece, operation by operation. This technology and our use of other virtual tools helped to guide and shape the transformation of Michigan Assembly Plant. Fully understanding how each part would be assembled gave us a roadmap for installing equipment and tooling in a way that would give our workforce the best opportunity of success, which ultimately translates into maximized efficiency for the plant and consistently high quality for our focus customers. Today, we can efficiently and affordably build electric vehicles such as the Focus Electric on the same line for all of the same reasons. Plus, the manufacturing process we're using here is the same process the teams have begun using in Saarlouis to prepare to build the Focus Electric for European customers. So Michigan Assembly Plant is really the one Ford model for how we build electric vehicles anywhere in the world. Now, as Derek mentioned, the greening of Ford goes deeper than fuel efficiency. Ford's committed to delivering clean technology from bumper to bumper in all of our cars and from start to finish in our manufacturing facilities. The Michigan Assembly Plant features one of the largest solar-powered generation systems in the state, allowing the facility to operate on a blend of renewable and conventional electricity. Excess solar energy is stored to provide power when there isn't enough direct sunlight, saving Ford approximately $160,000 per year in energy costs. We also have 10 electric vehicle charging stations right here, which recharge a fleet of electric trucks that transport parts between adjacent facilities, saving about 86,000 gallons of gas per year. Even the 3-wet paint application process that we use in the plant offers many benefits without compromising paint quality. It uses less natural gas, less electricity, and saves up to 8,000 metric tons of CO2 emissions per year compared to other painting methods. Finally, Michigan Assembly Plant recycles nearly everything possible, from the water bottles our employees use to the cardboard, bubble wrap, and styrofoam that our parts arrive in. Of course, Michigan Assembly Plant isn't the only impressive facility that's making a big difference here in Michigan. We have even more news to share with you about our Van Dyke transmission plant, which will soon become the largest producer of hybrid transmissions in North America. As part of our ongoing effort to insource jobs directly from suppliers, including those outside the United States, and bring more technology jobs here to Michigan. Our Van Dyke facility serves as the central producer of transmissions for our current lineup of hybrid vehicles globally. This builds on our plans for the Rawsonville plant in Ypsilanti, where lithium-ion battery packs will be assembled for the C-Max Hybrid and the C-Max Energy, bringing jobs back to Ford from a supplier in Mexico. Put Michigan Assembly, Van Dyke, and Rawsonville together, and it's easy to see that Ford is making good on its promise to transform Michigan into a center of excellence for vehicle electrification. So it's great to have you with us today. We're really pleased that you can see an important part of this center of excellence for yourselves today. Now we'd like to welcome you to come up, take a closer look at the vehicles and the technology, and talk to the experts that we have here today. Thank you very much for being with us. It's really nice to be able to share this exciting time with all of you. Thank you.
절대 못 쳐서 등지네. 표시가 딱 써있네. introduce to you Car2Go, which is a scheme that we are running since 2009. I've prepared a little presentation. Okay, here we go. It's already on. Perfect. So I would like to start first why we are doing this. Basically, we are doing this to save space. Car sharing saves space. There's a study of the University of Wisconsin. They have found out that in a 5 million resident city, 400 million square feet would be used for parking structures, while 26 million feet would be used for universities. That means we are spending 15 times more space for dead matter than for the education of kids, which I think is very dangerous. And so we came up with a solution that helps save space, and I would like to show you why. Please concentrate on those black cars. It might be a bit difficult, as you will see, but please concentrate on these black cars because they, at the end, are the problem. Because, as you can see, they're just standing around the whole day. They come in the morning, they park the whole day, they consume space, and they just standing around. They're not used. Those little blue cars are the car-sharing cars. They're used all the time. And the whole philosophy is about sharing assets, sharing the same piece of metal several times so that not everybody has to bring their own piece of metal. So how are we doing this? We have come up with a system which is very, very close to the known car clubs, as you might know. Here in UK, we call them car clubs. In other parts of the world, they're called car sharing. So basically, it's about using cars that are provided by us, our cars, in contrast to car clubs, are spread around the whole city. They're everywhere. They're parked wherever you can legally park a car. So there are no fixed stations. So as you don't know where the stations are or where the cars are right now, you need to find them. In order to find them, we have little tools like apps or an internet website where you can find those cars, identify them, and as a member, you then go to this car, you get a little member card from us when you register, and you will be able to open the car. You get into the car, you have to identify yourself, and then you drive around. You can drive wherever you want, you can drive as long as you want, you can drive spontaneously, you don't need to reserve the car. So you're very, very flexible, and flexibility is very important in today's world where things change so quickly. So once you just decided to finish using this car, you don't need to tell us in advance when that is. You just keep it as long as you want. You just park the car. And you can park it, as I said, at any legally possible spot, which is also very flexible and easy for you. And then you just finish the rental, and the car is ready for the next customer, and the whole circle starts from the beginning. This is very simple. The customer pays for this kind of car rental per minute and doesn't have to worry about anything else. Even the parking cost would be taken over by us. So how do you bring this into the cities and how do you make it attractive? I think the most important thing is you have to make it simple. People want to have simple ways of using things. They don't want to be somehow, in a framework or whatever. They really want to be free and do whatever they want at this specific point of time. So any time is also very important. This lady has a good chat. She doesn't want to stop it just because she has to return her car at 6 o'clock. So she wants to chat as long as she wants and then return the car. And the other thing is anywhere, people want the cars where they are and not want to walk to the cars. So we are doing this in 17 cities, and 3 of them, and now I'm coming to the point here, is we are running this with electric cars. These are Amsterdam, San Diego, and Stuttgart, so altogether we have 900 electric cars on the road, each 300 in each of these cities. And I would like to focus a bit on our experience from Amsterdam. You can see from the statistics here that we have 300 cars. This is about 9% of all of our fleet are electric cars in Amsterdam. We have another 600, as I said, in other cities. In Amsterdam, we have a home area, we call it, of 80 square kilometers, where those cars are based. You can start the rental and finish the rental inside this home area. So it's a quite large area where those cars are spread over. But it's big enough that we attracted so far 10,000 out of our more than 200,000 members worldwide. I would like to come a bit on the economies of electric car sharing. If you see on the left, this is a cost structure, part of the cost structure we would have for combustion engines. And as you can see, the vehicle price is a very big issue in this. And the vehicle price, as you all know, for electric vehicles, it's much higher than for combustion engine vehicles. So we have a kind of challenge for our business case over here because people are not ready to pay much more for electric vehicles. They would, expect to pay the same price than for a combustion engine car. So another one is insurance. Insurances basically don't know really a lot about electric car sharing. So they usually give you a premium and would have you pay a bit more. Fuel, of course, is less. Electricity is cheaper than the oil we have today. And then we have parking. So at the end, you will see that in order to run this in a sustainable, economically sustainable way, we need to have a reduction in terms of parking cost or other costs that help us to sustain this model. So coming to Amsterdam, they have done a lot on this. They provide free electric parking for any kind of vehicle, not only for ours, but for any vehicle. If you purchase an electric vehicle, you will get one charging pole from them. So by this, they have quite a few by now. They want to have 1,000 by end of 2013. A bit about our experience from Amsterdam. We were talking about technology, except for the period that you mentioned, John, in the beginning of the 20th century. This is a very new technology. We are used to very refined kind of vehicles that have been refined for 125 years. But is a new technology, so we learn a lot about technology. We still need a lot of standardization. It's very new, it's very chaotic still. We need standards so that people can conveniently use this technology. In Amsterdam, we have two kinds of charging poles, so they never know how to use each of the charging poles. So things have to be very easy and convenient. But once people get used to, they get very excited about all this. You know, electric mobility is exciting. They like it. Once you have ever tried it, it's lots of fun. So a bit of the effects on the mobility, and then I will be finished. It's 39% of our customers currently drive less kilometers with their private cars. This is not only electric cars, this is overall our car sharing scheme. But it has an effect on private car usage. And another thing which I think is very important, which is very combined with what we maybe hear next about the smartphones and about more, communication, that people start thinking about mobility in terms of situations. You know, when you have a private car, you just naturally sit in the car. Yeah? You pay it anyway, and it's there, so you sit in the car. There's no question what else to do. If you don't have a car, and if you use the whole transport system, you selectively use the things. So our customers, they don't use car to go all the time. As you can see, only 13% of the cases. Most of the time, they use public transport. This is a worldwide figure. In Europe, it would be even 35% of trips using public transport. So the real thing that changes is the attitude towards mobility, of thinking in terms of, you know, this is a block where I always use my private car, to coming to flexibility about mobility situations where I choose the right piece of mobility that I need right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. I'd like to immediately connect what you said with what we heard from John earlier. And John, obviously this concept ticks a couple of boxes when you're talking about the post-car system. It's deprivatized, it's electric, it's light. And the question I'd have is this the kind of post-car cities system for cities which you imagine, or are we possibly giving the car a second life which it doesn't deserve?
Second life. Yeah, I mean, I would have thought this is a very interesting innovation that might come to be part of a what I call a post-car socio-technical system. And I thought one thing you particularly emphasized, which was important, was the importance that it should be fun and fashionable. So it seems to me something that's going to replace the car system. It will have to have many characteristics, but it will have to be the latest thing, so that the steel and petroleum car seems so 20th century or even 19th century. And so the 21st century will be kind of figured around a different set of social arrangements and technologies and pleasures. It should be pleasurable, and that's what you were partly capturing.
Now, there is another question about the current success of car sharing, which very much relies on smart mobile phones. Car sharing as a strategy in itself has been, probably some argue, already created in the 70s, scaled in the 90s, but it's really hitting the ground now. And it's a question for Patrick, because it is indeed the mobile, the smartphone, which in the end was able to scale car sharing. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, I think it is, and I think it's quite interesting to look at what happens now with the evolution of smartphones. What we really see is that telecom is becoming a horizontal rather than a vertical industry. It used to be that you called someone, it was an industry in itself, the telecom. Now it becomes almost like a utility. It needs to be there in order to have many other ideas, innovation, products on top of that. I think that's true. That is one thing that is happening.
Kent, would you like to come in, given that you have been pioneering a particular spatially efficient vehicle, and also link that technology a bit to this idea of sharing?
Well, I think the future really is sharing. We're looking at having a whole ecosystem of vehicles where you including mass transit, located in very walkable cities. So you minimize the need for mechanized mobility to begin with, and then you have the right vehicle at the right time in the right place. So it's more fun and more affordable and hopefully faster. And I think the currency that makes all of that happen is the data that that's enabled by new communication technologies.
Now, a question I have to ask you, Rainer, relates a bit to I guess the whole strategy behind car sharing when it comes to its relationship to companies that produce private vehicles. A recent study from Germany showed that after 7 months of car sharing, car ownership dropped amongst those new users from 43 to 19%. When I speak to automobile manufacturers, they usually say, well, we like car sharing because we can already create sort of a consumer preference for the car that then will be eventually bought when people have the money for it. If these figures are right, that doesn't sound particularly encouraging. How do you sell your system, your strategy, amongst the broader Daimler ecosphere?
Well, basically, my thesis is this drop of car ownership would have happened anyway. And this is, I think, exactly the point. We heard this today already, that you shouldn't fight against the trend, you should go with the trend. And car ownership in cities is already at less than 50%. Like in New York would be, I think, 46%. In Tokyo, it's 48%. So people don't own cars anyway. So if you ask a manufacturer what to do now, I mean, we won't catch those 52% anyway. They won't never go into any of our point of sales. Why should I then fight for the 48 and decreasing part of 48%? Together with another, I don't know, 30 manufacturers. So we asked ourselves, so how can we put something on the street for the 52%? And how can we make what they use today all in all more attractive? Because I also want to emphasize, we don't want to replace mobility with Car2Go. We just want to be a piece of the puzzle in the mobility system. And we have done lots of activities together with public transport companies to offer common offers, joint offers. And, at the end, we think this trend is happening anyway. Of course, there are some people in our company who we have lots of discussions with, but at the end, the company is committed. This is supposed to be a business, and we are doing pretty fine, I think.
Well, I think this is a good moment to move on to another technology that clearly has made certain older transport modes obsolete. It's an old and new technology at the same time. It's the bicycle that is, of course, having an incredible renaissance around the world. And it's becoming smart and electric as well. If I can invite Frauke to give her presentation on smart e-bikes, please.
Sure, thank you. Just see if this is all working.